Welcome to Centrist Radicals with Captain Kevin and Rocket Rob, where common sense and common ground are radical ideas.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Centrist Radicals. I'm your humble host, Captain Kev. Glad you joined us. I'm here with Rocket Rob, less humble host. He's our firebrand here, guys. So he's going to tell it like it is. I'm going to try to make sense of it, and we're just going to take it one step at a time. Today, we're talking about something that has been kind of on everybody's mind, and it's the Nolan Chart. And it's something that's on Rob's mind a lot. Rob, if you give us just 30 seconds on what the Nolan Chart is, and then I want to go into a little bit of statistics on what it all means and how we can put ourselves on there. But explain the Nolan Chart and why you keep bringing this up. X, Y, axis is like you're blessing people. This is the Nolan Chart we have up here, and he'll tell you where else you can find it.
Well, Kevin, thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful introduction as always. The master segue.
Always.
I thought you were going to hit me with a Nerf gun when you pointed at me when you're ready to segue.
No, if you don't stop talking, I'm going to have to.
Okay. You know me too well. Anyhow, folks, welcome aboard to the Centrist Radicals. Always great to be in the podcast mothership here. Somewhere Biola Battery, and Mom always said that this would be a box of chocolates. So anyhow, terrible impression.
I think that's a Mandela effect, by the way. I don't know if that's true or not. Let's see.
So this is the Nolan Chart, guys. If you can see, it's rather simple. Libertarian up top, totalitarianism, right wing, left wing. In the centrists, in the center of the universe is the moderates. And we're not proposing y'all become libertarians. My little joke is I don't think the libertarians can sell pussy on a troop train. Don't edit that, please.
Oh Lord, here we go.
Okay, we're off to a good start. So anyhow,
I'm gonna get the Nerf gun. Yeah.
The Nerf gun and a water hose. So you can also find a more comprehensive view of the Nolan Chart on our website, centristradicals.com. It's on the front page. It's also on my bio page. I wish it was a blue pill you could swallow in 5 seconds and have all the knowledge of the universe bestowed upon you, but it's not going to work that way. You really got to study this, guys. Kevin, do you want to kick the show off by Q&A, or do you want me to...
I tell you what, there is something that I'd like to, like you guys to know on here for a second, and I think, Rob, this will help you too with what we're talking about here today. The Nolan Chart kind of lets us all decide where we're going to be as far as where we sit, left wing, right wing, whether you're into tyranny, totalitarianism, or if you're into just anarchy. Anarchy is off the top of the chart. So freedom, less government, all that stuff is more toward the top, more government control, more things to do with how we operate our lives every day under the control of somebody else. Maybe in some instances that's okay, maybe not. That's for you guys to decide and tell us what you think. But I want to bring up some interesting information here, and I'm going to do something that I don't like to do. And let's see if I can find it here. You know, I used to have a pair of reading glasses. Let's find out where I put those, because I am definitely going to need them. Anyways, let's see if I can get through this without my reading glasses. I was doing some Pew research here this morning and last night, and I was trying to figure out where we all sit. You know, are we mostly conservative people? Are we mostly liberal people? Are we mostly in the middle? And so these are questions that kind of bug me, and so I wanted to make sure I have this right. So according to Pew Research, there used to be quite a crossover in the public between left and right. It was about 49% in 94. So it was balanced. You know, we voted conservative and liberal things in the way we voted. We had ideals that were matching those things. By 2017, that number had fallen to 32%, according to Pew. Then it dropped to 23%, then down to 17%. And now we're roughly between 1 and 3%. There's a word that gets used by politicians a lot. It's called progressive. And these tend to be couched in ideals, you know, how we look at society. But there's only one way that politicians have been progressive. And I say politicians, not left and right, because they both succeeded in this. They've been progressively pushing these numbers. They've been progressively dividing us. That's statistical fact. We don't go from 40-some-odd% down to 1, 2, 3% by accident. That's something that has to be done.
Can I add dogpile on that? I call it polarization. I think our politicians are really in the polarization business.
No, I agree completely. And there's the reasons behind that is something I think Rob can talk more to than I can, at least what he thinks they are. For me, I come from a background that is not just search and rescue, folks. I actually own businesses. Look at this. Oh, I thought I had my glasses right here. See it on the camera, but I didn't. Anyways, in the marketing world that I used to work in, we identified there's only two ways that people make changes in their lives, and it's either through inspiration or trauma. Do you feel like you've been inspired, or do you feel like you've been traumatized to create change? That's kind of an easy answer, because if we were inspired, this would be like a euphoric moment for all of us. But instead, we're all traumatized. You hear about people saying, well, I'm a victim of this, the victim society, victim economy even, with people making money off of being victims. And so there's actually a reward system in place to be a victim, to be separate. But there's a term I want you to talk to real quick, Rob. Tell me this. Is the term the messy middle? And that's what the Pew Research calls us. They call us the messy middle. They later identify as independents, people that aren't, just true dead center in the middle. We all have some kind of leaning. It's normal. We're humans. But what, the messy middle? We're the biggest voting bloc out there. Not Republicans, not Democrats, us. What do we do with that, the messy middle?
I think I can feel that one. Well, going back to the chart again, you have to look at this, that it's not just the x-axis running left and right, Democrats versus Republicans, liberals versus conservatives. You also have to look up top to the libertarian, or let's call it the liberty and freedom-minded patriots versus totalitarianisms, and those are your isms. Socialism, communism, fascism. What is fascism? Fascism is corporatism. Well, who said that? Benito Mussolini.
Oh.
Fascism is corporatism.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, and Hitler looked up to this guy to model the Nazi, German Nazi governmental framework. He looked up to Mussolini until he found out he's a worthless warrior. So, no offense to Italians out there, or fascists. So anyhow, bottom line, what's happened is we're so divided as the messy middle. They have to keep us on one side or the other because we will never come together. Remember Sun Tzu, Art of War, divide and conquer. Divide and conquer, people. So what's happened is if the total left wing goes far to the left and the right wing goes far to the right, they actually start, going down to the middle, down here to what's called fascism, which is corporatism, and they're all a bunch of corporatists, and I can prove this, Kevin. You want to know how I can prove this? How? We can prove it by looking at congressional votes. So if you looked at, I think it was one of the last votes in the House of Representatives, for example, on more foreign aid to an unnamed, I need the air horn, I can't say their name, I just use the air horn.
Yeah, air horn.
So we give, we've given $300 billion in the past to this little country called, and I really wish we had the air horn here. We got to bring the air horn on the show next time.
I hit it.
Okay.
I hit it.
You hit it. I knew you were going to hide it from me. I knew this was going to happen. You bushwhacked me. So anyhow, if they voted 422 in the House against 6, only 6 people stood up to sending this last bucket of aid money to so they could continue their genocide and stealing property and snipe shooting little kids in their ankles for social media value and having fun and yucking it up and laughing at it. For rape of IDF prisoners by IDF soldiers using dogs, dog rape, not me, New York Times.
Oh, Lord.
The
New York Times said that. The New York Times said those kind of words.
I didn't say New York Times said that. I don't know who paid them. I thought they were CIA. But again, I kind of think that the messy middle's under attack with all the propaganda just to keep us irritated and unbalanced. There's a theory there. We'll talk about that.
I don't know about you guys. I mean, phrases like that, they get under my skin, right? I mean, I don't want to hear that stuff. Why isn't this talked about if this is going on?
By who? The major media? The mainstream media going to talk about that?
Shouldn't they be leading the news with that?
Why? If it leads, it bleeds. They don't want us to turn against us. They got a good thing going. They're making a lot of money off all these endless wars. Everybody is up there. The news media, Congress, the corporations are getting rich off wars. And that's why our country, Google this up, not me, it's out there on the internet, there's research. Our country has been at war for 93% of our existence. And that doesn't even include before the Revolutionary War when we were out doing Indian wars, basically stealing Native Americans' properties and raping, pillaging, and plundering. The business deals went out the window after we were starving, and they found us in the cold out there shivering, and they fed us, and we broke the deal. We broke a deal with them, with Native Americans.
I want to bring up something else here,
Yes.
because it kind of dovetails directly into what we're talking about, and I want to show you, this is my personal research, and I want to show it to you here real quick. And tell me what you think. This dovetails into what we're talking about, okay?
Interview people on the left versus people on the right. What do people prioritize based on their political beliefs? And so they have these concentric circles. So it's like first most circle, second, third most, fourth, and fifth. And so people that were on the right, they asked, like, what do you value? And they went through this study, and they self-ranked what they prioritized. And the first was, I take radical ownership of myself, and I try and go to the gym. I try and eat better. I try and educate myself. The second would be my family, things that are in my immediate circle of influence. My kids, my wife. Third would be the community, so people that I live next door to. And then fourth would be people of another nation or neighboring country. You're close, but it's not really your problem. They showed this heat map of like all these like responses. People on the left,
So this is Brian. This is Forge with Brian Edwards. He's a good guy. He does great work. We're going to post this video up on our website here too, so you guys can take a close look at it. But what I'd like to show you now is how that all plays out. So here's a close-up of that graph, right?
Yep.
So let's look at the quote-unquote liberals. And then I'm going to say quote-unquote on purpose because there's quote-unquote conservatives here. So liberals, right? Liberals, and this is a flawed argument, we'll explain that in a minute. But liberals out here. So the further out you are from the bullseye, so the bullseye is way over here, and we're going to put way out here is where the hottest heat map is. These are things that are outside of yourself. Think of the center of the bullseye as being home, you, your family, your community, outside, other countries, other interests, things that you probably can't change anyways.
Based upon the framing that the people that produce this video are. They framed it to look this way, but go ahead.
That's exactly right. and now let's go ahead and come up here now. And this is a conservative perspective, according to their research. The bullseye is right here, so this is closer to home again. Out here, other people's issues, other countries, other things, fringe ideas, things that you probably aren't going to change much anyway, but feel good to go about. And this is the closer to home. So the quote-unquote conservative tends to be closer this way. The liberal tends to be a little further out, away from home. Now there's arguments to be made pro and con against both of those. It's not good to be self-centric, nor is it too good to be too outside of yourself. We've got to have a balance of these things. And this is where, oh, touching the wrong screen. That's funny how that worked. Anyways, right here, right? And this is something Rocket Rob pointed out to me, and you can maybe explain some of this. Right here, we all agree. Look at that. These two areas. And guess what? That's where most of us fall on the Nolan chart too. Upper right quadrant, right?
Absolutely. In fact, if you can flip back to the upper right quadrant real quick. I looked at this, and you can't really see it on my phone, but if you look real closely, I put in little gray ovals there. There's your centrist. There's your messy middle, your centrist radicals, I guess you could call us.
Yeah, and this is actually, sorry folks, this is me. I took the test, and this is where I came out. I didn't know where I was going to end up. I've always known that.
Can you bring that down a little bit?
Yeah, I've always known that I like less government because I don't like people telling me what to do, and I think those of you that know me know that's true. I like to take care of my own business. I rely on my fellow citizens. I've seen what citizens do in the field, and we outnumber the government 100 to 1 when we're out in the field working disaster. So I like less government. That's this way. But right wing, left wing, I kind of split the difference with a teeny tiny lean towards being conservative because I do focus more on my family. I do know that things outside of my control are outside of my control. So I'm just a hair to the right. And I kind of think most of us live in this area right here.
I call it the upper 20%. If you look at this whole quadrant right up here, I believe humbly that that's where most Americans actually are. I took the test and I'm right up here, slight to the right because of one word in the question, Poliquiz. It's on our website. It's free. It's easy. It's 20 questions. And if all of y'all would just take the time when you're sitting on a toilet, when you're waiting for a hamburger to arrive, take the polyquiz test. It takes 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes tops. And it's going to send you the result of where your little red dot lies on the Nolan chart. Because of one word and one question, again, it's who frames the questions is how you get the biased results. What I found was because of one word, I had to answer a question a certain way, and that toppled me slightly to the right, when really what I am is a North Star top of that point. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And there's, I want to do one thing here real quick, is I don't want to invalidate something because all things are valid. So let me do this real quick. I'm going to bring this back up. Now this is that heat map they had earlier. You notice it says conservatives up here. You can't see that, but it does. Conservatives up here. Down here it says liberals. The Pew Research I quoted earlier, that was about Republicans versus Democrats, liberals versus conservatives, once again. Yet this is the minority party. The politics party. That's the minority party. Republicans and Democrats are minorities to us in what they have called the messy middle. And I think this is a slander against independents. I think it's a way for us to feel like we're unorganized and give us a label like that. But we're not. What's unorganized is the way that this is done and the Pew Research is done. Do I know better than them on research? No. But I do know that if I only take 2 sets of information, I'm only getting information on those 2 sets. I'm not going to get jack about their messy middle. That's why it's so messy for them.
And here's why you might pay attention to an old used car guy of 41 years, because I wrote the book. Many books have been written on the car business and on sales process, but I did write a book. The oldest trick in the book is called what Tommy Hopkins calls the alternate advance close. I reframed it and recalled it the alternate choice close because I don't want to get sued by Tommy. But the whole trick behind what they're doing to you to control your mind is by framing, again, that word is so important, by framing and giving you 2 choices. The majority of people out there are going to pick one or the other. Would you like the blue model? Would you like the red model? Do you want your payment to be $480 a month or $620 a month? Would you like your down payment to be $3,000 up front or $5,000 up front? They give you choices so that no matter what you answer, you're closing yourself and you didn't even know it. Well, let's role play here. Why don't you ask me which model I want to own, red or blue? Go ahead.
Are you going to red or blue on this time?
Well, I want purple.
Well, I can appreciate that. Purple's a wonderful color. So would that be red or blue today, sir?
But what if I really want purple?
Well, purple is just not something you'd want to do, isn't that right?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Red or blue?
Red or blue. There you go, left or right. So to keep you confused, to keep you in a constant state of worry, doubt, and fear, that's why they frame everything left versus right, when they should be framing what common ground do we have.
Right. No, you're exactly right. And if I could just kind of take that for 1 second, the argument isn't about who's right or who's wrong, right? Because both parties, frankly, have more degrees of wrong than they have right. It's only where they overlap with independence that they become right, at least a little bit, because at least we can all agree that even though that we are independent people, we have leanings. Some of y'all are independent people that lean left, some lean a little more right. But there's a huge anchor in the middle, because what happens in the center anchors everything. The middle anchors everything. That's why we're the biggest number. We're 43 some odd percent according to Pew. And the other 2 can't cover the distance. They barely make the upper 30s. And what's left is this small little 10, 11% that's purely center of the bullseye. And if you score in the center of the bullseye, I'm a little scared, because I don't know where you stand. And you could go either way on anything at any time. And is that objectiveness? I want to put this to you. Is this being objective, or is this being wishy-washy?
I think it's called fence sitting.
Oh.
During the Revolutionary War, I had an old history teacher at a private school in Caracas, Venezuela, American guy. You could tell he was a hippie because he cut his own ponytail off with his own scissors, and you could tell it. But he was a smart guy, and he was very instructional. And when he talked about the Revolutionary War, he broke down the citizenry of the colonists into three groups. There were the loyalists to the king, there were the rebels, or the patriots, right? And then there were the sunshine soldiers. Say that 3 times real quick.
I can't do it once.
I can't do it once either. Sunshine soldiers.
Yeah.
Those are the fence sitters.
That's sunshine. Sure. Sunshine. Sure. Now that's bad Chinese now. Sorry.
The middle.
Yeah.
The middle.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Fence
Well,
sitters.
that middle didn't do spit for our freedom and our liberties and kicking out redcoats.
Fence sitting doesn't sound comfortable.
No, but that's where they like to be. And I have a theory behind that. Social scientists, right? People are comfortable by sitting in the middle because they're afraid. They buy into fear too much.
You think they're worried about what people think of them?
They worry about what people think of them. They have all these unanswered questions. Well, life is messy. When you go into a disaster zone, can you talk to us about your mentality when you go into a disaster zone? I thought I cleared my phlegm out earlier. It didn't work. So, is it messy?
Oh, poor Rob. That's why we got lemonade for him here today. He's got a little cough. The thing about any disaster, if we want to equate, what's going on in the country to a disaster area, is that when we roll in, the storm's still happening. We're barely behind it, if at all. Sometimes we're dead in the middle of it, waiting for it to pass us. But when we get in there, we don't know what the situation is until we ask questions, until we gather intelligence, until we work with the local people there, get input from them, get requests for help, identify where the biggest impacts are. So there's that information gathering part.
So are you saying that you show up at a disaster site and you have a plan, or you show up unprepared, not knowing what's going on, and then you accumulate all the information, but you don't lose to fear. You don't stop rescuing people across the country because you're afraid. Is that correct?
No, absolutely right. And I think this is a conversation a little bit about strategy and tactics. As our strategy is always the same: help people, and we've got all these mechanisms to help people. Those mechanisms could become tactics, but you can't develop tactics unless you have a strategy first. So the nationwide strategy has tactics wherever it's so.
So why are we doing this show, Kev? Let me interview you now. Why are we doing this show? Tell the people.
Well, we're doing this show out of necessity. We're doing this show because we both identified the fact that our country is in a time of need right now.
A disaster.
It is a disaster. And what would you call numbers that tumbled from 43% agreeing to 1% to 2% agreeing? Between the two furthest extremes, we're not even talking about the middle, just the furthest damn extreme.
That maybe the people are waking up?
Yeah. And I think we are. I think you've seen folks, both left and right, moving to the center now because the left and right have moved so far left and right, it's become too damn obvious.
So are you saying that maybe we ought to reevaluate our political situation, maybe learn about the Nolan Chart and how the two, both the far left and the far right, actually meet down at the bottom of fascism, which is corporatism, and that the votes are proving that the money is rolling in off these constant wars, such as the last 25 years of attacking 7 Muslim-related companies out there. Who's benefiting by that? Who's getting rich off that? Are you and I and everybody else getting rich on that? Or which group is getting rich by that, Kevin? May I ask that question?
Congratulations. That was a great leading question, by the way.
I learned from you. I learned from the best.
I'm still figuring it out. I mean, you've got a lot more time researching this. I'm more on the side where I see how it affects people. And I'm trying to understand how it affects people, like most of our audiences. And that's why you're here, because you're going to say some things I'm going to agree with and disagree with.
Right.
And maybe I agree with you. But I'm still learning, and just like you guys are. So maybe by the end of our first season, he'll have convinced me of some of this. But I'm not saying I disagree with him. I'm saying my mind's open.
And I'm saying you don't have to believe in me. Just hear it out, connect the dots, do your own research, discern. The Bible says discern, right? Discern, study, connect the dots, make your own minds up. Because again, if you're going to be in the herd class, the sheep class, You're not discerning because you're going with the crowd. You're basically basing your decisions on listening to other people, but you're not reading the books and you're not listening to the podcast of other people. You're watching way too much state-sponsored media, corporatist media. But that's why we're doing this, guys. If you look at the shirt, we are your cognitive dissidents. And unite, bitches, says right down there at the bottom. If you believe everything you read, how about just unite, bitches? Can we start with that?
Unite. I named my Foundation Unites for that very reason. You know, it's about uniting groups together to help people. And we do that on the disaster side. I mean, those of you that follow what we do with Foundation Unites, our search rescue operations groups, and all of our partners we work with, it's about bringing together organizations to help humanity in a time of need. And the centrist radicals are a version of that, where we have a problem going on, and it's not something that you can tackle alone, or Rob can tackle alone, or me, or even a group of us. All of us, in that what they have slammed us as the messy middle, we're all involved in it. So let's talk a little bit about volunteerism.
Okay.
We're starting something here right now. It's called Operation Rescue Us, RESQUS, Rescue Us, and to be part of Rescue Us, we need you to volunteer. And volunteering looks like what?
Well, being a volunteer means a lot of things to different people. How about we break this into little slices, digestible bites? We're looking for 10-minute volunteers, people who got 10 minutes a day, again, while you're waiting on your 99-cent burger that costs you $9 nowadays, while you're sitting on the toilet. You know, I had an old football coach talking about volunteers. I used to volunteer coach.
So you're saying spare time. When you're sitting around doing whatever, you're having a cigarette, you're outside having a glass of water in the sunshine, whatever.
He said, his name was Coach Steve Castle, and I respected the guy. He was dedicated to his programs and the guys playing football for him. He said there's no such thing as a bad volunteer, so even if it's 10 minutes a day while you're waiting, or turn off that sports talk, or turn off that Netflix movie, give it 30 minutes or 40 minutes a day. Heck, do it all day long. If you're retired and you really care about your country, couldn't you spend 10 minutes a day? We've got all kinds of volunteer postings. We need directors. We're looking for a veteran outreach director. We're looking for media outreach directors. We're looking for people that'll copy, paste, send to communicate with legislatures and politicians and to change their ways. I think that the disinfectant of sunlight can maybe help a lot of those guys if we just scare them. I'm not saying we got to keep it peaceful always. Always peaceful, guys. Always peaceful. But we can do this in such a malevolent way, or such a kind of a hard-hitting way, that we embarrass the heck out of them, that we subpoena things, that we get charges filed, that we get investigations going, that we get more bloggers typing up stuff that just totally puts them under the spotlight. That's how we can do this peacefully. Forget about an armed revolution. It ain't gonna work, guys. But we can do this peacefully. We got about 27 solutions. There's more. More's on the way. But we need more people. So why don't we begin with, let's ask for volunteers.
That's right.
And what do you want to tell us about our store?
Oh, geez, come here. We had a lot of fun actually putting together some new merchandise, and we understand that folks like to get something for what they're given sometimes, and that's okay. I'm the same way. I love donating, and I also love getting a T-shirt too. So I look at it as a donation with a free T-shirt. But I'm really paying for that shirt, helping some money. So we've got Centrist Radical shirts that you saw here just a second ago. We've also got shirts for Foundation Unites there as well. It's called the Captain Store. And in the Captain Store is everything that I'm working with right now, including Centrist Radicals, Foundation Unites, as well as my own personal brand that was actually asked for, so don't think I'm a nut job. I just want to see my own face on a shirt. But
You're a handsome devil, though.
I am. Look at that, say profile.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Anyways, everything in that store, coffee mugs, shirts, and we'll be adding more and more as we go.
Bumper stickers.
Stickers will be on there. Koozies, you name it. We're going to have some fun with some of these little slogans.
Where's all the money go?
Everything goes to Foundation Unites. And why are we doing that? Because Rob believes in the mission. this mission supports that mission. Foundation Unites obviously is behind the mission of helping America in any way we can. But we're focused on the humanitarian side of things, the boots on the ground, the knuckles in the mud.
Tornadoes, fires, floods.
Exactly right. And so when you donate through that store, because you are donating, you're buying a shirt, but you're donating to a humanitarian organization, as well as allowing us to continue to do what we're doing here and spreading the word and helping y'all get together, because that's what we need to do in order to become self-defining. And when you see messy middle, to me, this is sticking with me. I hate this because it means somebody put a label on us that
somebody framed it.
Yeah, it's, we were just joking about this before the show. We were saying that the Pew's the arbiter of all this data. Well, they're not. They're an abattoir, and if you know French, that means butcher. They cut things up, they dissect it, and they pass it out. That's what Pew does. But they chose what they dissected. They chose only Republicans and chose only Democrats.
Jeez.
Yet these are the minority representation of America.
I wonder why. So I think we're about ready to wrap a show here. I think it was a good show.
Yeah, let's do one more little call to action here, if you guys don't mind.
Okay, let's do it.
This is your official call to action from Captain Kev. We want you, the centrist radicals, to come and join us, become part of the team. Look for this poster anywhere online that you see, and you can sign up. You can become part of our organization. You can become a centrist radical yourself. And what's so radical about being centric? Well, a centrist, it's because of common sense. And there are no common men with common sense in Washington, D.C.
That's it. Well, folks, there you have it. We're, step up to the pump. Do you want to save your country or not? It's real simple. We need to unite all races, all religions, all sexes, aliens from other planets. And we'll have a chat about, do you really want to get diverted and distracted by talking about aliens and all these podcast shows and all that? I say they're hiding something, such as they're stealing billions of dollars out of your pockets, and soon your diesel's going to cost you $10 a gallon, and that hamburger is going to go to $20 a hamburger. Humble thoughts, but when you're $41 trillion in national debt, and we can't pay the interest back, how are we going to pay the principal back? Well, they do it through inflation. So there you go, folks. How about we get ready to sign off on this thing, Kevin? I think I'm done for the day. What about you?
Thanks for joining us, folks. We appreciate it. And just to kind of go back real quick, brief recap, if you go ahead and take that Nolan Chart test on centristradicals.com, go to centristradicals.com, take the Nolan Chart test for yourself, see where you fit, see where you live, because you're probably one of the 43% out there that isn't sitting on those far extremes. And if you are, you probably should share some values with those folks as well. So stay tuned. There's more to come. Go visit the store, Captain's Store, on links on Centrist Radicals and Foundation Unite, so you can get involved.
Study the Nolan Chart.
Yeah, see where you fit in that whole diagram.
Check out our videos.
And we will see you here next time on the Centrist Radicals. And remember, lean on each other.
Peace, discern.
Welcome to Centrist Radicals with Captain Kevin and Rocket Rob, where common sense and common ground